You ever notice when you go on Reddit's gaming subreddit, it's one of the biggest ones out there with over 40 million subscribers. And at any given time, you have anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000, but several threads when talking about very controversial topics as to when the consumer starts getting screwed over, gets like hundreds of thousands of comments, hundreds of thousands of likes, so on and so forth. You know, it happened with several Star Wars games. It happened with certain Mass Effect games. I'm talking about years ago. And the reason why I talk about that specific subreddit, because now in 2024, when you go on there, almost every other post is talking about some old game or some old console that's getting, brushed out of the closet and dusted off and reconnected onto, your panel of choice, because it's sitting there. And a lot of these threads that you see, people have like hundreds of titles. I'm talking about hard media, which is something that I've been championing a lot, and that's the ownership of hard media. And now you see these like trending videos on YouTube talking about going to thrift shops, going to, pawn shops, and they're buying these old Xbox 360 games, PS1, PS2 games. I myself have bought God of War for the PS2, which I never played the God of War series. I'm almost embarrassed to admit. And I never even played The Last of Us. I never even played Uncharted. I mean, the Uncharted franchise goes back more than a decade, almost 15 years if I'm not mistaken, and I've never played it, and I look forward to playing that. Now, of course, there is the argument that, you can download it when you're a member of, PlayStation Plus or PlayStation, I don't know, their subscription service that almost everybody has, just like Xbox has their Game Pass service, right? But then that goes back to games as a service. It goes back to having to need that internet always on connection. And sometimes I'm not down with that. Now, I myself am also guilty of this because I have over 4,500 hours logged into Dota 2, and that is a games as a service title. I also pay for Dota Plus, which is an annual subscription, which, by the way, it's coming up on a renewal, and it's like $45 a year. And it's like nothing special. It doesn't give you a one-up. It's just all basically cosmetics. But sometimes there's that argument that, certain aspects of Dota Plus gives that new player an advantage. For example, the spawn boxes. You hold down Alt and it highlights them for you. Usually people that have the kind of hours that I have logged in, you already know where the spawn boxes are. But you know what? It actually helps. It's there. It should be a feature for non-Dota Plus members, but, I digress. But going back to the retro gaming, dude, it's like all over the place, everywhere you look. Like the other day, I saw this one video talking about the genius engineering of the original 1989 Game Boy. That video has over 1 million views, and I still have a Game Boy that belonged to my late wife, and I have it in storage, and I'm like, holy shit. She played it when she used to travel back in the day when she was much younger, and, when she was alive. But I still have that, and I have it in storage, and she only played like simple games like Pokemon and Mario and Zelda, and those things are just a feat of engineering, and people are going back to that. Maybe not that far back in technology, but they're popping up their PSPs, their PS Vitas, their actual Game Gear. Remember that? Sega Game Gear? And their TurboGrafx. What was that TurboGrafx handheld system? I forget what it was. But, there's like, your Nintendo DS. And it's crazy how the gaming landscape has changed. People have now set in their ways in certain games that it's like they're forever games, right? Or games that they are known for playing. But the gaming industry has moved away from the core audience of like hardcore gamers like you and I and everybody else who's watching this video, and more into the mainstream. That's why we see a lot of people, a lot of developers and publishers chasing this games as a service business model, because it really does make a lot of money. And, that's as far as I can talk about on that subject. But going back to retro gaming, dude, I have installed, what's it called? It's called the Sega Master System Suite which was like a 18 game bundle on Steam that I bought years ago, right? And it's called the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis Classics. And it's incredible, and it has Phantasy Star 2 on there. Now, good luck trying to find, number one, a Sega Genesis. If you have one, please hold on to that. And number two, a copy of Phantasy Star 2 that's in pretty decent shape. Remember how you had to blow into the cartridge when things will get stuck for both Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive and the Sega Genesis? Man, those were the days. But if you go on the gaming subreddit, dude, it's every other post of people like going back. And these are people who have modern day consoles, modern day beast PCs, and there's something about old retro gaming, something about not being not being nagged and having to log into an account and forgetting your credentials, so on and so forth. Remember, like, for example, the first Metal Gear Solid, you actually had to change into the second disc when you were like halfway through on the PS1. Dude, I would do anything to go back to that. And I still have my PS1 somewhere in storage. I still have my regular NES. I believe in my parents' attic, and I think that they forgot that it's there. And I haven't gone up there in, wow, the last time I visited my parents, I haven't gone up there in like over, 20 years? I'm aging myself, but still. Like, what do you guys think is going on with the resurgence of going back to retro gaming, with the resurgence of actually going out to yard sales and picking up these, gems like Halo 1? Like, for example, I have Halo 1 Master Chief Collection installed on Steam because, again, I never owned a regular Xbox, and I never played the Halo franchise. Even though I listened to Part 1, the soundtrack, like all day long. I used to work out to that. But I'm playing it right now, and I'm like, man, this was really, truly magical back in the day. Early 2000s when the Xbox came out? I forget exactly what year. But dude, it's just an incredible feeling of playing these old retro games, and not only bringing back memories, but the simplicity of the controls, the simplicity of the game design, and just the memories that they built over the years that most of them have now become memes. It's not about, going back to something more simple because everybody else is doing it. It's because the landscape right now, everything, even though like games look truly, truly beautiful, and it's the best time to be gaming right now, they're just not bringing that magic. They're not bringing that satisfaction that we used to have when we were growing up, even when we still had jobs. And then we came home on the weekend, on our days off, and we just launched our favorite title, co-op, Ratchet and Clank, Uncharted, which I really look forward to actually playing that franchise. And I'm talking about hard media, not digital downloads, so you can actually keep it. But tell me what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, smash the likes, leave a comment, follow me on X, and I'll see you guys on the next one.